Maybe now with all these examples, it's starting to click that, oh, I'm not trying to change anybody else. I'm the one changing. I'm just communicating and expressing my needs when I communicate my boundary. I'm not saying, hey there, welcome back to the Mind Your Boundaries podcast, episode number 17. I'm your host and boundary enthusiast, Jessica Miller, and today is all about celebrating you and unpacking the power behind boundaries done right. When I put the call out on Instagram for your boundary wins, you all showed up with such heartwarming stories. I have some true boundary brilliance to share with you today. But first, let me take you on a walk that I just shared recently with a girlfriend. We're strolling, the sun is shining, the gravel is crunching beneath our feet, and she's worried about the upcoming election. Not because of the candidates, not because of the drama, but because how consumed her dad gets by it all. And I could totally relate. I have a family member just like this. Pre-2016, our conversations flowed like wine. Post-2016, it was like pouring syrup in December, slow and sticky. It wasn't the disagreeing. I welcome alternative views and different perspectives. That's how we grow and evolve as human beings. It was the constant push to sway me to see it my way. It got really intense. I started ghosting phone calls, making up reasons why I couldn't get together. And the villain? Politics? Really? This was what was breaking down one of my most cherished relationships. But then I had a light bulb moment. It's on me. I have to mind my boundary. So I picked up the phone and I called my mom. What I said next turned into one of my biggest boundary wins to date. I'll share that in a little bit, but first, let's talk about what we're gonna get into today. Today is all about wins, from in-laws who learn to call before they come over, to the warrior mom who set ground rules on body shaming around her daughter. This is going to clear up any doubts that you have about setting boundaries and give you that aha moment we all so desperately need. Why celebrate the small wins? Because they show us boundaries in action. We learn best when we're seeing something happen, like practical examples that we can all relate to. It also gives us hope and confidence for those of us, and I'm looking at you, who are still on the fence. Each win is a personal triumph and a true testament that boundaries are a self-imposed ruler limit to keep us safe, balanced, and strengthen relationships. They're not about changing others, they're about empowering ourselves. First up, we have a listener who set a boundary with her in-laws that needed to call before they come over. And it worked. No more unexpected knocks at the door because she stood firm and she minded her boundary. Then we have a story of a courageous mother who bravely refused to let her son, who's battling addiction, into her home. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. It was necessary for her well-being as well as her son's. We've also got the couple with their second baby, congratulations, who decided to take 2 weeks for just their little unit before welcoming visitors. They put their family's needs first, and that is something to celebrate. And raise our glass to the woman who is no longer willing to have hard conversations with her abusive sister-in-law without a neutral third party or mediator. She has decided to engage on her terms in a space that feels safe and respectful. Let's not forget the warrior mom who set the rule, body shaming around my daughter equals end of visit. She's protecting her child while at the same time setting an expectation of respect and kindness. Another win came from a mom who had clear expectations for her newborn's health and well-being. She made a very simple rule that said, if you want to hold my baby, you got to mask up. And it's for our baby's safety during these precious, vulnerable first few months. On to the story that literally melted my heart so much. We have the greatest granddaughter in the world who brought her grandma home from the nursing home only to realize her level of care that she needed was more than she could provide. So she bravely communicated, Grandma, I love you, but we need to consider help or finding a place that can give you the care you deserve. Back to my story. So I took a deep breath. I picked up the phone. I called my mom. Mom, I love our talks. In fact, I miss how things used to be. All the fun, the lightness, the laughter. This political stuff is driving a wedge between us, and I need us to agree that we can keep our chats around everything else going on in our life besides that one singular topic. And guess what? She agreed. And now, when she starts to veer into the political world, I just steer the conversation back to something that we both enjoy. A project she's working on, something about the family, just something fun and light, because we both have such good sense of humors. And just like that, we found our way back to each other. How about you? So we're talking this through. I've given you lots of different examples now. Simple wins with a big impact. Have you had a boundary win? Or maybe now with all these examples, it's starting to click that, oh, I'm not trying to change anybody else. I'm the one changing. I'm just communicating and expressing my needs when I communicate my boundary. I'm not saying this is what you have to do to change. Maybe now you're having your aha moment. I would love to hear your boundary win or your aha moment for the boundary that you're going to set. So what's the theme here? Each one of these stories is about protecting the relationships by keeping resentment at bay. Consider the new parents. If they would have let their family overrun their space and they would have ignored their need to have like that close-knit family time before accepting visitors, resentment would have brewed. But instead, they held their boundary, they held their line, and they strengthened their family bond. To our greatest granddaughter ever, who told her grandma they needed to hire help or look for other living arrangements, it wasn't about being tough, it was about ensuring that she got the proper care she needed, and everyone in the household, including her 5 children, got the attention they deserved. These boundaries are not lines drawn in the sand. They are acts of love to ensure everyone's needs are getting met and these relationships are flourishing. Now let's talk about practical strategies. How do you set and maintain boundaries? I love to use a very simple 3-step method. Number 1, identify your boundary. Like, what boundaries do you need? Be very clear, and also be very clear on what behavioral change you will make to hold your line. Step 2, communicate your boundary with compassion and clarity. It's not a demand, it's a respectful expression of your needs. Step number 3, mind your boundaries. They're yours to keep, just like a garden is yours to tend to. For my politic-loving mom, it wasn't up to me to tell her, change, stop talking about something you're obsessed with. It was up to me to change the way I engaged with her. Facing boundary pushback. It's gonna happen, but just remember, it's about your well-being. Stay consistent, kind, and pivot when necessary. Like the in-laws that show up unannounced. Gently remind them the need for a phone call. Or Uncle Phil that doesn't want to mask up before he holds baby Scotty. Remind him it's about keeping Scotty safe, it's not a personal preference. Navigating the delicate art of boundary reinforcement means staying kind, but firm. Take the in-laws who have the habit of showing up unannounced. Instead of letting frustration bubble over, hold your line and just give them a gentle reminder. Oh shoot, I'm sorry guys, I wish you would have called first. We're not up for hosting, but are we still up for a brunch on Sunday? It's respectful, it acknowledges their desire to visit, and then it redirects to a more suitable time. And then there's the case with Uncle Phil and baby Scotty. When Uncle Phil reaches out maskless to scoop up baby Scotty, the parents can hold their ground firm with warmth and humor. They could say something like this: hey Uncle Phil, you sneaky guy. Remember, we're trying to give Scotty's immune system a chance, so you gotta mask up or wait 35 more days. It's not just a boundary, it's a caring nudge for Uncle Phil to join in the efforts to keep Scotty healthy. In both scenarios, the message is very clear without being confrontational. It's about reminding others of your boundaries while keeping conversations open and relationships intact. Pause for a moment, friend, and let's just take a deep breath in of gratitude for these boundary wins or our aha moments today. I'm so grateful that you're here with me. I'm so grateful that we understand what a boundary truly is, what it does for our relationships, and how to use them properly. Each boundary you make is a step towards living the life you deserve. Now share these victories with us. Get in the comments and make sure our MYB family can celebrate these victories with you. Before we wrap up, let's etch this into our hearts. Boundaries are not walls. They're beams that hold up our house of well-being. They're the self-care promises that keep us safe. They're the balance that steadies our ship and the glue that fortifies our relationships. Without them, we're like leaves being tossed about in the wind without say. But with them, we are captains of our own ship, navigating the vast waters of life on our terms. Remember, it's not about changing the wind, it's about adjusting our sails. Dolly Parton said that. Your boundaries are yours to set, your boundaries are yours to honor, and your boundaries are the ultimate act of kindness. A world without them is a world where misunderstandings turn into hurt, where distance grows from neglect, where resentment builds a nest in our heart. So, as we part ways today, I will remind you, keep minding your boundaries because they don't just protect you, they honor everyone in your life.